to where I know it's going to be laying on the crown, and I want to do the same thing on the crown. How did I do this? Okay, so I like that. Then I'm going to come over here and eyeball it. Alright, I know that was noisy, and I know it seems like a lot of work, but if you want a crown that's really quality and a crown that's going to last, we got to go through all the motions. So, once you've done that, I need you guys to get your medium-sized clamps. I'm just going to do 2 right now to show you. You want to get your E6000 glue, and I want you to be generous with your glue. I want you to put your glue on your brass pieces. I'm using a generous amount of glue. I want you to put a little bit of glue here on your crown. You can see I'm not being skimpy with my glue. Because you can come back with a steel brush attachment for your Dremel, and you can clean up your glue later once it's all dry. I'm going to put glue on both, not as much on the crown, but I'm just going to put a little there. And I'm going to let this sit on each one for about 5 minutes. Let them sit there. It's going to get a little tacky, not a lot. Just let those sit there for about 5 minutes. Okay, now they've been sitting there for about 5 minutes. I want you to take your medium-sized clamps. Glue's running a little bit, but that's all right. Glue's not going to hurt anybody. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm going to lay that brass piece down where I want it. And I'm going to take my heavy clamp, my medium-sized clamp, and I'm going to clamp it right where I want it. If it moves a little, you can move it. But you need that heavy force. I'm going to go over here and do the same thing. Right where I want it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think this would look cute. If I bent this up a little bit. You guys can do whatever you want, but I just think it would look cute like that. So I probably should have bent that prior, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to lay it where I feel like it's going to sit pretty well. Don't worry about the glue. Plus our paint's going to cover that too. And I'm going to clamp it. Heavy clamp. Medium sized. And I'm going to do that all the way around until all those are done. Once those are done, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the same thing with my noisy tool. And the little sections between the ovals right here, I'm going to put a little rose. You don't have to put them there. You can use them for something else if you want, because it's pretty decorative. But it's up to you. I supplied you with the roses. So you can put the roses here in between. That's where I did it. And I don't go all the way around because you're going to have a nest in here in the middle. So it could be covered up, and it's not a big deal. So I'm going to take the little roses, and I've left the centers of the roses brass so I can just put my glue there. No back with your tool. A little indentation there. You're going to take your little tiny roses and you're going to put E6000 on these as well with your little clamps to make sure you have your little clamps. And I'm going to be generous with my glue, like a large piece size. You've got to have enough glue. Don't be scared of the glue. If you're chintzy on the glue, it's not going to work. I'm going to take them and I'm going to place them in that little center spot, and then I'm going to take a little clamp, and I've pulled these little things out that are on the bottom of on the end of the clamp, and I'm going to take these little clamps and I'm going to carefully clamp down those little roses. They're not going to go anywhere. These little roses are so cute. I love them. I get them from Diana Cooley at Broke Jewels. I get all my brass stuff from her. Also, I'm going to be selling crown bases that are already soldered, and you guys can buy them from me online, and then you can see Diana Cooley, and you can buy all different kinds because she has thousands. Of course, she doesn't really have her online up yet, but if you're in California, you can go and see her. So you can buy the crown bases from me that are soldered, and then you can go to her and you can buy all different Victorian bases and roses, and you can make your own crowns. Oh, these roses are so cute. Okay, so you guys are getting the idea. Make sure they're in the spot you want. Like this one's being a little bit of a pain. This one, I think I'm going to put this part down in the back. I'm just going to put 4. I don't know how much the roses are from Diana. I know the big ones are $5 each, but they're worth it. I mean, obviously, hers are already blackened, so you have to request them without blackening. Because once you blacken them, you can't really paint them because it keeps turning green. All right, you guys. So basically, I want you to do what I've done on this part and all the way up with your little roses. Just 4 is all you need. And I want you to let that sit, and I want you to let it dry. You can put it in front of a fan. That really helps. Let it dry for at least 8 hours before we come back and we put our roses on. Really, I want you to wait 24 hours. Really? Yeah, wait 24 hours. I know it takes a long time. It's going to take two weekends like most of my projects do. But in the end, it's going to stay and you're going to love it. So after 24 hours of these guys sitting there and really drying and curing, we're going to come back and we're going to use our big roses and we're going to glue those on to the bases. So while we're doing that, I'm going to come back in a second and we're going to do our eggs. All right, now since our crowns are drying with the glue, we're going to do our eggs. With your blue paint that I've given you guys, super pale, but it's going to be darker because when you put that wax on it, it's going to be darker. We're just going to paint all our eggs. I did 3 coats. You don't have to do 3 coats. Probably best to do your first coat with, if you have any left, it's just enough for the crown. But you can do it with your base primer color, the white or the linen color that I've given you guys. Or you can do it with your blue. But you want to have a couple coats because you want it to be covered pretty well. Like I said, I did 3 coats on my eggs. I'm going to do 3 coats on these eggs, and they're going to dry pretty quick. You want them to be dry between each coat. And, you know, don't worry if they're not perfect, because they're eggs. I mean, they don't have to be perfect. And you don't have to paint them blue. You can paint them, you know, that sweet kind of green, or even pink, or pale yellow. You can paint them any way you want. You don't have to speckle them either. It's just whatever you guys want. And we'll come back when they're all dry and they're all done with as many base coats as we want of our color. And then we'll speckle them really quickly. Okay, so now that you guys have your eggs painted whatever color you want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gray paint and I'm going to take an old toothbrush. I'm not going to spatter today simply because I don't have a box to put it in to spatter, but you don't even need your box. And I'm going to take my toothbrush and lightly put it in, and then I'm going to take off excess. And I'm just going to take my egg and lightly you can speckle these another way too by taking